Shabbos Daf Chav Beis, Rabbi Tanchum says that just like you're not allowed to build a sukkah that's over 20 amas, and you can't have a mavoi, a crossbeam, a kaira above 20 amas, so too you cannot light your menorah above 20 amas. Another famous saying that Rabbi Tanchum says, when the Shvatim threw Yosef HaTzadik into the pit, the pasuk says, "Habor reik ein boi mayim." It's empty and it doesn't have water, which is a double language. The Gemara says, yes, it didn't have water, but it had snakes and scorpions. Rabbi says that when you light the menorah, make sure that you put the menorah one tefach within the doorway, not further away, because people might confuse and they won't realize that you are the one that placed it there. Rav Acha says you put the menorah on the right side of the door. Rav Shmuel says you put it on the left side of the door. Like this, you have the mezuzah on the right and the menorah on the left. Rav Yosef says you have to treat the menorah with respect. Even a very simple task as counting money should not be done by the light of the menorah. Where do we see this from? From Kisui Hadam. You're obligated to cover the blood of a chaya and a bird after you shecht it, not a behema. And you should do so with your hand, the hand that shechted the animal, rather than with your foot. Kicking dirt is a bezayin. Rav Yosef, Rabbi Shua ben Levi asked, how do we know that you cannot benefit from sukkah decorations? Let's say you hung a fruit, you can't eat it. You learn this from the menorah. Says Rav Yosef, Marida Avram, as we would say in our days, Rebbeinu Shalom, the master of Avram. It's a mafurish brayso that you can't use sukkah decorations. Chanukah is not. Rather, the mekar of this halacha is from Kisui Hadam, and we learn sukkah and Chanukah from Kisui Hadam. In all of Shas, when Rav and Shmuel argue, the halacha is like Rav and Isurim. But the following three halachas, Abayi's Rebbe, Rabbi Bar Nachmani, paskin like Shmuel lekula, and that is that you are permitted, according to Shmuel, to light one candle to another. You're permitted to untie your tzitzis and place them in another beged. And the halacha is like Reb Shimon, according to Shmuel, begreira, that you're permitted to drag a heavy object on the ground, even though it might create a furrow in the ground, as long as you're not mechaven to make that furrow. Now, what is the issue with having a ner l'ner, lighting one wick from the other? One man Omar says this is a bezayin of the mitzvah. You should not be using a mitzvah to light a match to light another candle. And the other man Omar says it's akhushe mitzvah. You're taking away from the original mitzvah. It looks as if you're using some of the oil of the first candle. What is the difference between these two pshatim? In a case where you go directly from wick to wick, in that case, there is no bezayin mitzvah, because you're going directly to another wick rather than going to a mundane thing like a match. However, there's still akhushe mitzvah. It looks like as if you're using some of the oil of the first wick. Now the Gemara asks a question from Meiser Sheni. If a person has a lot of fruit, which he needs to bring to Yerushalayim to eat because it's Meiser Sheni, he's permitted to redeem all of his fruit onto a coin. The coin becomes Kaddish. Now I want to take that coin that's Kaddish and use it as a counterweight to weigh another coin in order for me to use that other coin for Meiser Sheni. I want to do a mitzvah with it, but right now I'm doing a mundane task. I'm weighing with it. The halacha is you're not permitted to do so. We must explain, in order to explain Shmuel, that the reason why it's usher because we're worried about the outcome. What if you find out that the weight of the second coin is not adequate? It doesn't weigh enough, or it weighs too much. You're not going to use that coin. Therefore, you weighing it the first time, you're using a Kaddish coin to do a mundane thing that never had a good outcome of a mitzvah. But in our case, when you take a match and you light one candle, perhaps that's okay, because the chances that you're not going to use that to light another candle are very slim. The Gemara tells us that the 40 years that Klal Yisrael was in the desert, HaKadosh Baruch Hu lit up and created light for Klal Yisrael. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense that we're lighting a menorah to help HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak. We benefit from his light. He doesn't need our light. The menorah is a testimony to the nations that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his Shechina is shoyer on Klal Yisrael. And how does he testify? How does it work? Because we use the Ner Ma'aravi to light all the other candles. The Ma'aravi depends if the menorah is facing east and west, then the second candle coming into the Heichal, that's the one we light. If the menorah faces north-south, according to one man Omar, then the center one, the Emtsai, that's the Ner Ma'aravi. At any rate, we use that Ner Ma'aravi to light all the other candles, and that's the last one that we clean out. we must explain that the way it worked, it was not that we took a match and went from one to the other, because that would be a problem of bizui mitzvah. We must explain that the wick was long enough to reach the other cup. Each cup's wick reached the other one. Yet the only issue that remains is if you hold akrushe mitzvah, that it looks as if you're taking and diminishing the oil from the first cup. Over here we still have that problem. Rav Huna ben Yeshua says, if a cheresh shaitav a katan, people that are not able to light Hanukkah candles halachically, if they lit it, are you yaitse if you pick it up and place the menorah after they lit it in its proper resting place? If you hold hadlaka isa mitzvah, that the mitzvah is when you light it, then you wouldn't be yaitse the mitzvah. But if you hold the hanacha isa mitzvah, then it's fine. Doesn't matter who lit it. The point is you have to place it in the proper final place, and you are yaitse. So therefore, the Gemara says, I could bring a raya perhaps. If a person lit the menorah but kept on holding the menorah throughout the whole duration, he's not yaitse. Why not? He performed the hadlaka. Shouldn't he be yaitse? You see from here that hanacha is a mitzvah. The Gemara says no. Perhaps the reason why he's not yaitse is because other people don't see the Persuma Nisa. They're going to think that you lit it for your own good. So the Gemara will have another raya. What about a case where a person lit it indoors and he brought it outdoors? The halacha is he's not yaitse. But why not? If hanacha is a mitzvah, I put it in its final resting place, it should be okay. You see from here, hadlaka is a mitzvah. The Gemara says the same answer. Perhaps people will say that you did it for yourself. And finally, the Gemara brings a raya. If a person lights a very large glass bowl of oil from Friday all the way to Motzei Shabbos, and he wants to light candles, what does he do? He extinguishes the candle and he relights it. But if hanacha is a mitzvah, he should have to lift it up and put it down again. That's one raya. Second raya is, from the fact that we say, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah, you see from here that the mitzvah is in the hadlaka. We don't say v'tzivanu lahaniach ner Chanukah, but rather lahadlik. So from here you see that the mitzvah is lahadlik. Now the Gemara says, since we proved that the hadlaka is a mitzvah, therefore if a cheresh shaliv katan light it, you are not yaitse even if you place it in its final place. And a woman certainly could be yaitse with the mitzvah, as we're going to see tomorrow. She could also be mitzvah your husband, because afhein hayu bais hanes. Yehudis was the one who cut off the general's head, and there was a terrible decree tibal lehegma tchila against all women, all brides. Therefore, they were in the nace, and they could certainly light Hanukkah candles. Have a wonderful day.